Hello, everyone, and welcome to another presentation from Generation Plus, Blue Ridge Pride, and sponsored by AARP. I'm Bob Tomasulo. I'm a volunteer with the AARP, and today's program is one of a series of educational broadcasts that we've been doing to educate people about various topics of importance to the community. And today we have the topic is going to be monkeypox. That's something that we all have heard a lot about. Many of us probably don't know a lot about it. Those that are real internet fans probably have researched it. But I also found that when I tried to do that, there was a lot of confusing information. So we're going to try and straighten out some of this confusion today. And we have as our special guest, Michael Harney. He's an HIV prevention educator with WNCAP here in Montgomery County. And he may have a surprise guest who may pop in and out. Her name is Piper. And if you see Piper, just wave. But Michael's going to enlighten us a little bit about monkeypox and what it is and what it isn't, and what you need to know about it. It's important these days, especially after going through COVID for 2 years plus, to educate ourselves about these issues so that we can make informed decisions about our own behavior and what we need to do and maybe not do. So we're going to dive right in here and invite Michael to start. Michael, what exactly is monkeypox? Is it a virus?
It is. It's a virus that has been around for a long time, since the 1950s, but typically been part of the Western African countries, where it's been commonly found among young children more than anybody else. The fact that it has spread the last couple of years through kind of the Americas and Europe has made it a little bit different than it's been historically known to present. So okay. It is similar to smallpox in the sense that it's a pox virus, but I don't know. I'm assuming that anybody who's watching this today has access to the computer, and like you said, you can look things up and it gets confusing. But if you looked up images of monkeypox, some of the children, it's horrifying to see these big, what seem to be boils, almost bubbles, balloons on their skin. We haven't quite seen it that way as it's being presented in this latest outbreak, but it certainly has some very interesting skin manifestations.
Mm-hmm. And how is it spread, actually? Is it airborne or some other method? How do you get it?
So originally, it was thought to have been spread by some rodents and, children playing outside. They were getting it. How it has crossed into a more adult population, and now European and I say United States, but the Americas population has been somewhat non-traditional to the history of it. So it's been, here's the trouble. It's been sexually transmitted, but it's called a skin-to-skin disease or infection. And so what we've seen is that it's the skin-to-skin contact that is transmitting it. So you don't have to worry about somebody coughing or sipping off your drink or smoking off a cigarette or something like that, sitting around people. That's not how it's being spread. It is really being spread by close, intimate skin-to-skin contact. And so it is potentially possible, anything, is potentially possible that if I shook your hand and you had monkeypox, maybe my skin-to-skin contact with you would be a point of contact and transmission. The honest truth is that it's been face to genitalia area, face to the backside, the butt side, face there, and then face to face after that. So people have manifestations in their facial area, in their genital area, in their buttocks area. That's where the main points of contact have been in this latest outbreak in both Europe and in the United States.
So what I'm hearing, I guess, is that you can get it from shaking hands, say, with someone who's infected, but that's not the most likely way to get it.
It's not. You can also get it from what are called fomites. These are things around your house, a towel or a washcloth, somebody's underwear, sheets, a pillow. So there have been very few children reported to have been infected in this country. I'm talking mostly in this country right now, in the United States of America. Very few children, and it's not clear how they got it. It doesn't appear that it's been a sexual transmission of any sort. It's probably somebody used, brother, uncle's, daddy's towel, or used somebody's washcloth. May have slept in somebody's bed that hadn't had the sheets changed. Maybe they used the pillow for sleepover. I don't know. It's not clear from what I've seen or read that how it's being transmitted into children. The very few reported cases among children just have not been like sexual abuse or something like that. So to be clear about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what are the symptoms of monkeypox? Are they similar to other diseases, or are they kind of unique?
Well, so there's like a predrome. So before people know they have it, here's Piper. Before they know they have it, oftentimes it's the same flu-like symptoms that everybody reports having, some kind of a fever and a headache and nausea. Just it's this time of year flu-like type symptoms. And then some people will describe, well, they had this little bump on their hand or on their face, or maybe, can I say, on their penis, on their butt cheek. And they're like, gosh, this is kind of a weird little pimple. And then the next couple of days, it seems like it's spreading, or there's a bigger one, or there's more. And all of a sudden, people are having these senses of, really starting to feel sick, and the sores themselves become very painful. Some people have reported a burning sensation and just a really deep, dull pain. If it's in the mouth, it's an ulcerated area in the mouth. It's very painful. If it's on the penis, sometimes there have been people who've had it so severe that they've had to be catheterized. And sometimes if it's in the rectal tract, they've had to have medication to reduce any kind of constipation or difficulty in evacuating the bowels. And so it's been pretty rough on a lot of people. I'll show you just briefly. I don't know if you can see these pictures or not. These are some of the severe cases where this person, has it out on their back, just a big, and you can see the hands here. These are the really severe cases. Anytime you see these yucky pictures in a book or somewhere, those are the pictures that the doctors are like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this. Do you mind if we take your picture? So they present the worst case scenarios, but people are describing very painful sores. And some people say they just had a few sores and it seemed like it was around their hand. So if you had your hand around people's genitalia, and then you wiped your hand on your face, that's this whole idea, even with COVID, keep your hands from your neck down, sort of thing, so that you don't spread it to your eyes or your nose or your mouth. But people are putting their faces in other people's, body part areas. And that's really how it's being spread.
Mm-hmm. And how soon after, say, an initial contact do the symptoms appear usually?
Usually several days to a week and a half or so. Some people describe having been to a party, or having had sex with a partner or two this weekend, and then by midweek or toward the latter part of the week, they start with that fever, with the the flu-like symptoms, cold-like symptoms, and then all of a sudden they notice this sore on their finger, on their hand, some other part of their body, and they're like, what in the world is this? and then it goes through this whole process. Some of the sores themselves have kind of they call it an umbilical type sore. So they've got an indentation in the middle. And that's kind of a telltale sign that it's a monkeypox sore. And ultimately, after a couple of weeks, it will dry up and fall off, and new skin will start to grow. And that's when you're non-symptomatic. That's when you are non-contagious.
Mhm.
So at the point that the new skin is growing, you are not shedding virus.
Mhm.
Here in North Carolina, there are reported 659 cases as of this morning. Every Thursday, they try to update what's called the North Carolina DHHS monkeypox dashboard. I think we have a link to that that we'll share during this brief interview. But you can look that up. It's just, if you looked up North Carolina monkeypox dashboard, it shows by county where we've done immunizations now. They started early on where there were outbreaks, where the infections were being reported. And early on, for the first month or so here in Buncombe County, there were, I don't know, 6 or 7 total cases. I can't find the by county numbers. I've looked, and they just apparently have stopped really reporting it so that it's easily found. What they're reporting now is the number of total cases and then immunizations that were distributed out across the state.
Okay. And that, when you mention immunizations, I guess that's one of the good things about this, is there is a treatment and vaccine for it. How does that work?
So there's both a vaccine and a treatment. So those are two different things. The vaccination itself is preventive, and it's a 2-shot series. So if today you went to the health department, and not all, I don't know how far spread this interview is, but not all county health departments have the vaccination, the immunization dosage. There were some 9, as I recall, 9 core health departments that were the central locations for the distribution of the vaccination. And so, in other words, Buncombe County here was one of those distribution sites. If one of the counties in the western part of our region wanted some, they could coordinate with Buncombe County to get however many doses, 50 doses or 100 doses, that kind of thing. So if you went to the Buncombe County Department of Health today, it's open Monday through Friday from about 9 to 4 o'clock. You really want to be in there before 4 o'clock. You can get a free vaccination against monkeypox. It is not 100% effective because this is new to us in this country and in the way that it's being spread. But it is a very highly effective preventive vaccination or immunization against monkeypox. It is similar to a smallpox immunization. And so you go today, 4 weeks from now, within about a week, you get a week's grace period. You need to get the second dose, and then you are considered immunized. You're considered to have prevention against monkeypox.
Mhm.
The treatment is different. It's the one particular treatment, they call it tecovirimat. You'll see it TPOXX sometimes. If you see that, that's the medication. So I'm just reading from the CDC. Again, this is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So cdc.gov. And I think we're going to put that link up here as well. If you go there, you can look up monkeypox, and there's just every bit of information: monkeypox treatment, monkeypox symptoms, monkeypox images, monkeypox that the community needs to know, monkeypox that physicians and providers need to know. But it says, in particular, I'm just reading from the tecovirimat link here, what you need to know. There are no treatments specifically for monkeypox, but because the viruses that cause monkeypox and smallpox are similar, antiviral drugs developed to protect against smallpox may be used to treat monkeypox effectively. So there's the antiviral drug tecovirimat has been approved by the Food and Drug Administration to treat smallpox in adults and children, and drugs developed to treat smallpox may be used to treat monkeypox. There's one other medication that's used to treat CMV retinitis. This was one of the early infections that you heard about in HIV and AIDS. And so cidofovir is also being used. It's a very powerful drug, and it just needs to be monitored by physicians. I'm not a physician or a medical provider, so I want to be clear about this. Talk to your medical provider. Any information I'm giving you, double check with your medical provider, and don't take my word for any kind of treatment recommendations or what particular ways to treat this for yourself. But it does say that the cidofovir is not approved by the FDA for this treatment. However, it is in a new protocol, an investigational new drug protocol through the CDC. So they're finding that it can be useful, but it's still under an investigational protocol, clinical trials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you mentioned the similarity to treatments for smallpox. I would think most people, at least in this country, have been vaccinated for smallpox. I know we immunize infants fairly early on for that type of. Does that give you any protection for monkeypox, or is that a totally different? Even though the treatment may be similar, are the diseases different?
Right. The diseases are a little different. The vaccinations that many of us have had are said to, I've heard and perhaps read that about 85% effective against monkeypox. So, I don't know how effective it is for someone who was immunized early in life or years ago. Some of us have on the side of your arm, you might have that smallpox vaccination mark that people got. I have one, and so I'm thought to have some sort of protection from having had that earlier on in life. Although the recommendation would be to get the vaccination now to boost anything that you may have already had from an earlier immunization. So this is kind of a booster time. It's not, they've administered here in North Carolina 25,000 doses of the immunization of the vaccine. And it says that about 13, almost 14,000 doses, the second dose. So in other words, roughly 25,000 people have had their first dose of the monkeypox vaccination, and only half or so, a little bit better than half, have had the second, the 4-week later vaccination. Mm-hmm. It kind of depends on what you're doing. And a lot of people are asking me, at the bars or whatever, should I get vaccinated? Should I get the monkeypox vaccination? And I kind of say, honestly, what are you doing? Are you putting your face in the genital area of others whom you may not know, you may not be familiar with? Are you, and I'm just going to be frank, are you going to sex parties and, bathhouses? The big spread happened here over the summer in the United States and in Europe after Pride events where people were partying in the big cities, having, varied sex partners, and then returning home to their communities where they perhaps continued having sexual contact with others. Social media helps to promote that kind of thing. I don't want to sound judgmental, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to be having multiple sex partners with people whom you don't know their status, you may be putting yourself at risk. There's a further qualification that's very stigmatizing, though, Bob. The majority of the cases in this country and, frankly, in Europe have been among men who have sex with men. And so they've tried really hard at the CDC and at the World Health Organization levels to reduce the stigma. It's the whole HIV and AIDS stigma. It was all about the gays and that kind of thing. And we realized that it could be transmitted by anybody. So there are women who get this, and here in North Carolina, 3%. So out of the 659 cases reported here in North Carolina, 21 or 22 have been among females, and so it is possible. But the majority part, better than 95%, are still among men who have sex with men. And worse than that is that it is very stigmatizing to say that it's among African American men who have sex with men. But that's where the big numbers are. And so then even further, if you look at POZ magazine, so POZ.com is the kind of the industry magazine. It's all sorts of updates, and they've got a great online presence. But POZ.com has a monkeypox update. And it's said that that so many people with HIV are getting monkeypox. I'm looking at this is the monkeypox. Monkeypox can be severe in people living with HIV. I don't know if you can see that. So that's the POZ article that I'm referring to, and it just says that there are about 76,000 cases around the world, 28,000 cases here in the United States. Around 40% of people with monkeypox are living with HIV. So there's a further complexity, and those people who are getting monkeypox, having these severe outbreaks, and have HIV are oftentimes not suppressing their virus. So it tends to lead to believe that they're not taking the antiretrovirals to treat HIV. They've not suppressed their virus. Their CD4 count, part of their immune system, is not built up, so it's not able to back, and it's complex.
Mm-hmm. So, because these people with HIV generally have an immune system that's been damaged in some way, at least, they tend to be at a higher risk, I guess, because of that.
Right, and that's the thing. Their cases are more severe. They're ending up in the hospitals because their immune systems, if they're not taking their antiretrovirals to fight HIV, their immune systems are not strong, and oftentimes are again having the worst case scenarios for monkeypox outbreaks.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. I want to
Know
mention
your status, know your HIV status, go see your doctor, get treated, suppress your virus, undetectable equals untransmittable, that kind of thing. It includes building your immune system up.
Sure. If anyone has questions, by the way, you can type them into the comment section of your screen, and we'll try and answer them if we can. You just look at let's see, on my screen it's on the upper right, but it may be on your upper left, but it says comments, so you should be able to find it easily. If you have a question, please type it in there.
The folks, Bob, that have gotten immunizations is the imbalance here too. So about 60, I'm trying to see, about 67, 68% of, I'm talking just North Carolina, but it's kind of like this across the country. About 67, 68% of the people who have monkeypox are considered Black or African American, and have only received about 26% of the immunizations. The converse is that white people, if you compare one or the other, white people represent about 25% of the cases and received 62% of the immunizations. And so it's a real, imbalance there that people talk about. How do you fix it? I don't know. Anybody can go to the county health department. So if you have friends who are men of color in particular, who are having multiple sex partners who don't know or have not been vaccinated, they might decide to go to the health department, take somebody to the health department.
Mm-hmm. So you'd encourage anyone who is having multiple sex partners or risky behaviors to either contact their provider or go to the health department. And,
right. So what, here's Piper to say hello.
Hi, Piper.
Hi, Piper. She wanted to get on camera. So anybody who's on PrEP, anyone who's had sex with somebody known to have had monkeypox, anyone who's had an STD diagnosed in the last 90 days, in particular syphilis, um, and if you're going to be having multiple sex partners, you are considered a prime candidate for the immunization.
Mm-hmm.
They're assuming that people who are on PrEP are protecting themselves against HIV and likely to have more than one sexual partner, more than a monogamous partner. And so in that case, they are recommending that you also be vaccinated against monkeypox. And while you're there, get the hepatitis A and B vaccination too, meningitis, all of this is happening kind of in our general population of men who have sex with men.
Yeah, and it's important to take care of our own health, and each person has their own responsibilities. And there is no charge for these vaccines, correct?
Correct. That's right. It's free of charge. The Western North Carolina AIDS Project last Friday had a clinic here. They do it about every 3.5, 4 weeks, weather permitting. And they've been doing the monkeypox vaccination. They've been doing the updated COVID bivariant vaccination. And last week they did the hepatitis A and B. They provided that. Sometimes Walgreens will come and provide flu shots too. We've been trying to do that for the last several months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The county health department's really been on this very heavily here in Buncombe County. They've done a great job, interventions. They've created some QR codes that you can connect to the CDC and find out more information. There are updates every week or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's important if you think you may be at risk for monkeypox or are concerned about it, please contact your healthcare provider or the health department if you don't
Absolutely.
have a healthcare provider. There is information out there. It's available. You just have to make a little bit of an effort to get it. But it's there, and it's an important thing for all of us to know. We seem to be in a period in time when a lot of newer illnesses and viruses and things are out there. It's not just the same old flu every year that we're used to. So it's important to keep ourselves informed about these things. And that's one of the reasons why we do these programs, to help the community, the gay community, especially in Western North Carolina, to be aware of what they need to know. And so they can make intelligent decisions on this. And if anybody else has any questions, if not.
Do we have the websites that we can put up? I don't know if we're able to put up.
Yeah, I think there we go. Here. There's www.cdc.gov is the most important one. You can get a lot of information there. And I would imagine the local county health department website is also useful, no matter what county you're in Western North Carolina. And as Michael said, some of the counties don't have the vaccines available, but they can get them. Yeah. And that's not too much of a problem right now. So that's good to know. And Michael, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. You're such a wealth of knowledge.
Well, I don't know. I never feel like I know enough or do enough. I will just one last caveat, the trans community too is being affected by monkeypox, not to the numbers that the MSM portion has, but so if trans folks in the community, they need to be aware as well. And this is a great community where the services are provided with a lot less stigma and a lot more support. So if you're a client at the Western North Carolina Community Health Services, they are also doing the vaccinations there.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We do these programs periodically, so they're on the Blue Ridge Pride Gen Plus website and their calendar. So if you're looking for some information about something, check it out and see what's coming up. And hope you can join us. And for everybody out there, have a great day. Thanks again, Michael. And
thank you, Bob.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.